feel crazy saying this, but in the past, I used to see those who had passed. I eventually sought help to block this ability, but before I did, I had an experience that I'll never forget. I was at home one day when I was suddenly pulled mentally to somewhere else. I was hovering, looking down at my aunt, who was very much alive at the time. We were in a space that was pure white, but not blinding. It felt structured, almost like it was more than three-dimensional. My aunt was smiling at me and said, "Isn't it wonderful here?" Off to the right, I noticed two brownish human shapes in the distance. I knew instantly that one was my grandmother, my aunt's mother. Their presence was serious and stern, which was unusual for how my grandma used to visit me. I knew something was wrong. I felt a desperate need to tell my aunt she had to go back, but she didn't want to. I thought of her grandchildren, whom she adored. I asked her, "What about them? Do you know how it would feel to know there was someone who loved you so much, but whom you never got to meet?" She turned to the figure next to my grandma, and I realized in that second it was her father, a man who had passed when she was only 4. She looked back at me, and in that instant, it was over. I was back in my room. I was confused and didn't know what to make of it until the next morning. My aunt had gone in for a routine surgery, and the family told me everything went well. But when I arrived at the hospital, her daughter told me the truth. They lost her on the operating table. She's alive now, but she's in a coma. I went into the ICU. I sat in silence with my mum until she asked me a question. The moment I started speaking, my aunt's hand reached out toward my voice. She started choking on her breathing tubes. She was awake. For the next few days, she wouldn't take her eyes off me. She looked at me with a look of pure shock, as if to ask, "Did that really happen?" He never spoke about it, but I know I went to the other side to bring her back. That place was a mixture of infinite peace and a complete lack of time. I don't expect anyone to believe me, but I know what I saw. About 10 years ago, my husband was out of state visiting family. It was a normal evening, but I suddenly felt an overwhelming wave of exhaustion wash over me. I went to bed and fell into a deep sleep the very moment my head hit the pillow. But it wasn't a normal sleep. Instantly, I felt as if I were outside of my body, being pulled upward at an incredible speed. I was being led toward a place high in the sky, and when I arrived, my husband was there waiting for me. The experience was so vivid, so real, that when I finally woke up, I was shocked to see the sun was out. What felt like only an hour in that place had actually lasted the entire night. It was too early to call him, so I tried to start my day, though the memory of seeing him stayed fresh in my mind. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was his sister. She was calling to tell me that he had passed away unexpectedly during the night. I realized then that while my body was asleep in our bed, my spirit had been led to him to say one last goodbye. It has been nearly 10 years since that night, but I still recall every detail of that experience as if it happened yesterday. A few years ago, I was walking through the woods, wandering a bit off the beaten track. Suddenly, I was hit by this overpowering, sickly sweet smell. Being curious, I pulled back the thick undergrowth to see where it was coming from, and that's when I found him. It was a dead body. The man had clearly been there for quite a while, and he wasn't looking great. He was swollen, discolored in shades of green and black, and the local wildlife had obviously been dining well for a few days. I immediately called the police. Because I was so deep in the woods, they told me I had to stay put and wait with the body so I could lead them to the site. Since I was in the middle of nowhere, it took them a long time to arrive. As the sun went down, I found myself sitting there in the total darkness, alone with the corpse for hours. The silence of the woods made every sound feel amplified, and the smell never let up. It eventually turned out that the man had committed suicide. You'd think the story would end once the police took him away, but for a long time afterward, he started appearing in my dreams. He would talk to me, and it was never anything kind. He was angry, furious that I had disturbed his resting place. In the dreams, he would try to convince me to take my own life, as if he wanted me to join him in that clearing. I tell myself, It's probably just my imagination or a form of trauma from that night, but it's still deeply disturbing. Even now, years later, he still turns up in my dreams from time to time. I have a feeling that after typing this out and remembering that sweet, rotting smell, he'll probably be paying me another visit tonight.